Hey, everybody, we're back again today in the second of our series where we are ranking the number one songs for each year, starting in 65 all the way to 1975. Today, it is 1966. I'm here with Randall Nelson. Randy, great to have you back. I enjoyed last week's. Can't wait to see what we have in store today. Of course, 1966, right in the middle of pop music, really at its peak, in my opinion. You know, you had huge albums, Revolver, Pet Sounds, as far as albums are concerned, and the number one songs were no disappointment. There's a lot of really good stuff here. So we're going to rank them. There's 27 this year, 27 number one songs, and we're going to rank them worst to best, in our opinion. And Randy's going to go first. He'll do his 27 to 21, and I'll do it. And we'll go in groups of five till we get down to the top 10. So I found this was a really difficult year. I say that every week, but it seems like they really are hard to do when you start getting all these quality songs together. Maybe a couple of duds, but other than that, real strong. What do you think, Randy?
I thought there was a couple duds too, and maybe about three songs that were just kind of okay. But from like 21 to 1, I think all solid songs. And I didn't think there was as many absolute classics this year as this in 65.
Right.
But there were more great songs that were hard to differentiate, which one's better, or, as far as our taste is concerned. And another amazing thing about this year is like so many of the songs were remakes later.
That is true. I didn't
realize these songs that were remade and hits later.
Hits later. Yep. Yeah, there's I'm looking real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that I can count right up to 7. Yeah, there's a good more than a handful of them for sure. And they were hits. The remakes were good too. And at the end, like we did last week, we're going to each pick 5 songs that didn't make number one, personal choices of ours, just to throw out as honorable mentions. We'll do that at the very end. So, Randy, why don't you kick it off? 27 down to 21.
All right. Number 27 is actually the song that was the biggest hit this year. Sold the most records, and is very much a song of its time. And it's the Ballad of the Green Berets, Sergeant Barry Sadler. There's no complexity in the song. It's just got this little marching thing with a little guitar here and there. Kind of during the Vietnam era, kind of like not pro-war, but kind of in that military vein. Yep. And he's if you know the story of his life, it's pretty sad. And later he got charged with manslaughter because of a rival for the girl he was going out with at the time. And he ended up in, I think it was Nicaragua, helping the Contras, and got shot with his own gun. Wasn't sure if he was struggling and somehow shot himself, or if he was getting robbed. But it's just a song with Vietnam raging, and how at the end of the song he's just saying that if he doesn't make it back, have his son be a Green Beret. And it's like, really? That's what your wife is going to think? You wants him to be a Green Beret too? I don't think. So anyway. Yep. Anyway, so that's my number 27. My number 26 I don't like as well, and that's Winchester Cathedral by the New Vaudeville Band. I guess there were some studio musicians, and this is another corny music hall song. Whereas last year they had I'm Henry VIII, which was a music hall song, but that was kind of catchy. Right. This one's just kind of cornball to me. Maybe in the early 1900s this was kind of cool. The guy, I guess, was singing through his hands to make this sound of his voice. If you've seen a video, he does through a megaphone, but I guess when they recorded it, it was supposed to be kind of sounding like he was singing through a megaphone. But it's terrible, according to me. that's my 26. 25 is I've got Johnny Rivers, Poor Side of Town, kind of a syrupy battle. It's just amazing that this one went to #1 and yet Secret Agent Man, that's so catchy, didn't.
Yeah.
It's like she broke it off with him and went over for a rich guy, but then he dumped her, and so he said, "Welcome back, baby, to the poor side of town." I don't know if he's really sincere about that. Yeah, that's my 25. 24 is Strangers in the Night, Frank Sinatra. And Frank hated this song. He didn't want to do it. And he almost sings the song like he doesn't want to. It's kind of a sneer in his voice. And I guess when he sang it live in concert, he would kind of tell people if he hated the song, even though he would sing it in concert. It's kind of a schmaltzy reprise recording. It's after he left Capitol. His Capitol stuff was all great, but it's actually got Glenn Campbell and Hal Blaine playing on this song. It's got a heavy on the strings, and at the end he goes doobie doobie doo at the end. And I guess supposedly the guy that did Scooby Doo got the idea for the Scooby Doo dog from that.
Oh, really?
That's my 24. 23 is Cherish by the Association. Kind of folk rock, easy listening.
Yep.
And I like some Associations. I like Along Comes Mary for one.
Yeah.
But it's got nice harmonies. It's like he's trying to find the right word for the girl he's in love with, and cherish is the best word he can pick. I don't know. It does have nice harmonies, I'll say.
It does. Yep.
So that's my 23. 22 is another song by an artist that didn't want to record this song and didn't like it, and that's Petula Clark's My Love. She had the wonderful song Downtown, but this one just kind of chugs along, doesn't really go anywhere. And the Wrecking Crew actually plays on it, so it doesn't have great instrumentation, but it's a pretty simple song. And like I said, Petula didn't really like it. So that's my 22. And then 21 on down, I really like these songs.
Yeah.
And I know some people don't like my 21, maybe. It's Lightning Strikes, Lou Christie. He sang that high falsetto, kind of like Frankie Valli, although I like Lou Christie more than I like Frankie Valli. But it's kind of a throwback to the doo-wop era, even though this is 1966. You got the stabbing guitars, the piano, and the wailing backing vocals. But like I said, I've always had a kind of a soft spot for Lou Christie and that high falsetto voice that he does.
Cool. Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of the same songs in my rundown here. The only one that I don't have that you mentioned is Poor Side of Town. That's a little bit higher. My number 27 is The Ballad of the Green Berets. We agree on that. It's the worst #1 song of the year. Just patriotic, which is fine, but I don't know. This was just as the Vietnam War was escalating in '66, and I don't know. It's almost a spoken word. He's not really singing, as I recall. I didn't listen to it again, but it's like he's almost, these are men. I guess he's just going through the motions. I don't know why it caught on the way it did. Maybe because people wanted to feel good about what the Americans were doing over there. I don't know, before things got really ugly with the bombings and all the napalm and the things that were televised. But I don't know. It just doesn't work for me as a song. I think about 5 weeks at #1, it sold like a ridiculous amount of singles. He did die a tragic death, as you mentioned. He was killed. He was sitting in a cab in Guatemala, and somebody shot him right in the head. I don't know whether it was a robbery or not. He was only 49 years old when he was killed. Number 26 is Winchester Cathedral, that novelty song with that Rudy Valley kind of sound alike. It almost sounds like he's holding his nose. Winchester Cathedral, it doesn't work. It's a brutal song. It probably should be my last, but It's close enough. 25, I put Strangers in the Night. Just that easy listening, adult contemporary, mid-60s stuff. It doesn't fit into the pop or rock genre at all. It's just Frank doing his nightclub act. 24, My Love by Petula Clark. I think it's a solid pop song, but it's a follow-up to her smash hit Downtown, which we had last time in 1965, which is a way better song, backed by the Wrecking Crew. The Wrecking Crew is all over this particular year, so I noticed in a few of these songs they're the backing band. 23 is Lightning Strikes Lou Christie. That's the falsetto voice that you mentioned. He hailed from Western Pennsylvania. He wrote his own songs, which was pretty unique at that time. A lot of people had, songwriting specialists that they took the songs and put a spin on them. But Lou actually wrote his own songs. He had some hits in the early 60s, but I think this will go down as his signature song, excuse me. Lightning Strikes All Over Again and Again and Again. It's catchy. 22, I put Hanky Panky by Tommy James and the Shondells. This was the one that launched their career, their first #1 song. They had a bunch of different styles: garage rock, a little bubblegum, psych rock, pop, rock and roll. I mean, they were a versatile band. I like Tommy James and the Shondells. This is just not my favorite song of theirs. Evidently, they grew up in the Niles, Michigan area, and Pittsburgh DJ took a liking to this demo or this song, and it was popularized in Pittsburgh, and it took off from there and reached #1. They had a good run of 12 top 40 hits throughout the late 60s and early 70s. And finally, at number 21, I put Cherish the Association. It's not bad. It's got harmonies in it. It's kind of middle of the road pop, kind of ear candy, sunshine pop. I don't know how many times I wish that I could hold you. I don't know. It's catchy, but I put it at 21.
Right.
So now we're going to go 20 to 16.
All right, my 20, and like I said, I like all these songs from here on down, but it's hard to rank down. 20, I got Monday, Monday by the Mamas and the Papas. I can't believe that song was #1 and not California Dreaming.
I know. Couldn't believe it.
I love California Dreaming. But yeah, it's kind of Monday's a Bad Day, kind of symphonic folk rock. Wrecking Crew again plays on here.
Mm-hmm.
Like how kind of at the end, he kind of slows to a stop and then it starts right back up again. It's a cool song. That's my number 20. Number 19 is Hanky Panky that you had earlier. Kind of a garage rock in there, even though it's got kind of some silly lyrics. And I guess at the time they were just the Shondells. They were in high schooler kids. They did this song and then it took off. The other ones had kind of gone their own way, and Tommy Jackson changed his name to Tommy James, and then I got like a bar band to go tour with them with these songs. But it's a cool song.
Yeah,
but it's not my favorite of this year. 18, I've got Wild Thing by the Troggs.
Yep.
It's got to be a pretty good song. Jimi Hendrix covers your song. So.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a garage rock song with Reg Presley was the lead singer, but he's sounded almost like he's drunk when he's singing the song. I think if they sped up Wild Thing, it would be the first punk rock song. But I don't know. It's a good song. I like it.
It is.
So that's my 18, Wild Thing. This might be one that we might differ on this one. 17, I've got Sunshine Superman by Donovan. Kind of hippie mysticism, kind of the lurching quality, and the sun shines brightly. Well, kind of chugs along. I guess Jimmy Page played on the song.
I was surprised. I didn't know that.
Folk rock love song written for his ex-girlfriend, Linda Lawrence, which he didn't get back with the song, but years later, they got back together. So it paid off eventually. And number 16 is I'm a Believer by the Monkees. Another song that became a hit for Smash Mouth later. Got the great organ riff. Mickey Dolenz on lead vocals is really good.
Yeah.
You know, he's having those problems, but then he saw her face and his day brightens. And then Neil Diamond actually plays acoustic guitar on here, and he wrote the song, Neil Diamond song.
Very good.
That's a good song.
Yep. Yeah, I have it up there pretty high. My number 20 is one you mentioned, Poor Side of Town, Johnny Rivers. Johnny Rivers is one of these artists that nobody ever talks about. He had a string of hits, kind of a smooth pop ballad. You used the word syrupy. It is syrupy. It's got a string and brass arrangement to go with it. The Wrecking Crew, again, is all over this one. Written by Rivers and producer Lou Adler. I enjoy it. It's soft rock, but I kind of like it. Number 19 is Monday, Monday. The Mamas and Papas, their only number one hit, which is a shocker because California Dreaming is a better song. They performed this at Monterey Pop Festival. It was a Grammy Award winner for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or a Group. Written by John Phillips, backed by the Wrecking Crew. It spent 3 weeks at number one. Monday, Monday. It's a good song, but it's just not it's not their best song. Number 18 is Wild Thing by the Troggs, written by Chip Taylor, who was the brother of actor John Voight. There's a little tidbit. Garage rock sound. They use this for, in the movie, I think Major League, where Charlie Sheen's coming in from the bullpen. And it's like his walk-up song, Wild Thing. You mentioned the Jimi Hendrix cover, which is cool as hell. I like the Troggs a little bit. They had a hit later in '68, Love Is All Around, which I really like too. Number 17, I'm going to go back to back with the Supremes here. Excuse me. Number 17 is You Keep Me Hanging On, which I like a lot. Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out of my life, why don't you? You really don't love me, you just keep me hanging on. Real up-tempo number, and within a year, Vanilla Fudge did a hard rock cover of this where they just amped up everything and just made it their own song, which I dig that about the Vanilla Fudge version. But the Supremes really have an outstanding version as well. And at number 16, the other Supreme song on this list is You Can't Hurry Love, later done by Phil Collins, was it? Yeah, Phil Collins had a hit with it. This is one of the Supreme signature songs. Holland Dozier Holland, the writing team, who wrote scores of big hits for Motown, the Supremes in particular. It's got that pulsating sound of the Funk Brothers behind there playing all the instruments. So it's a really good song by the Supremes at number 16.
All right. You mentioned the Funk Brothers, but there's kind of like, it's either Wrecking Crew or Funk Brothers. We're going to be on a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
James Jameson, I always liked him as the bass player.
Yes.
So my 15 is You Can't Hurry Love by the Supremes. I have the other one a little bit higher. Another Holland Dozier Holland tune. I love like the propulsive backbeat that's on this one, and the great bass line in the song. And I don't know, it might have been a little higher if not for the Phil Collins version. Kind of maybe tired of the song or something. I don't know. But it's kind of got that down home philosophy. You can't hurry love, I love the finger pops and the hand claps, and you got the sax on there. But it's a great song, I think.
Yep.
Supremes had, when you start looking at these lists, go, wow, the Supremes had a lot of hits and a lot of number ones.
A lot of number ones, yeah.
That's 15. 14 is the other Monkey song, Last Train to Clarksville. Got a Voice in the Heart song. Great opening guitar line on that. Also Mickey Dolenz on vocals. And I got a regretful tone about, the sailor or the military guy that's going to be shipping out. And is that a reference to the Vietnam War? I don't know, but maybe it has a little subliminal protest in there. My 13 is Good Lovin' by the Young Rascals. And this was actually a cover of a song by the Olympics, which was a doo-wop group. This is one time where the remake is 10 times better than the original.
Yeah.
This is just a cool song, really catchy. Felix Cavaliere almost shouting, and these wonderful guitar by Gene Cornish on there. That's I love the organ break also in the song. It's got a great ending as well. But yeah, Good Lovin's my 13. And number 12 is the other Supreme song, Keep Me Hanging On, which besides Vanilla Fudge, Kim Wilde had a hit with it in the 80s.
That's right.
That's she's song about she's getting strung along, and she's just getting keep me hanging on, and she's kind of upset about it. But I love the like syncopated guitar, or they call it Morse code guitar, that kind of starts the song. I don't know what you call it, but it's really cool. Of course, they got a lot of tambourine. Seems like there's in any Supreme song, there's a lot of tambourine going.
Yeah. And
you got the Funk Brothers on there. It's going, go on, get out of my life. So she's trying to not keep hanging on, but she does. But I don't know. I like the song.
Oh yeah.
Number 12. And then it's really getting tough here. Number 11, I got Summer in the City by the Love and Spoonful. I had that Hits of the 60s box when I was a kid, and this was one of my favorite songs that was on that one. I love the kind of psychedelic organ on there. And this is the group that, had Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind and Daydream, but they rock it pretty good on this song here. John Sebastian is really got some expressive vocals on here.
Yeah.
Love the organ. You got the jackhammer and the city life kind of in the middle, and then it gets back into the song. And so that's my number 11, Summer in the City.
Very good. Yeah, I have a lot of those songs in my top 10. In fact, my 15 through 11 are all going to be in your top 10 because I don't think you've mentioned them yet. So let's get into that. My 15 is These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra, which is, a cool song. It's perfect for the 60s fashion statement with the mini skirt and the boots, and sexy song. Came out at the perfect time, written by Lee Hazelwood, who they would do album, at least one album that I know of together, Nancy and Lee. So really good song. I just love everything about it, but you got to rank these, so that's where it falls. Number 14 is 96 Tears by Question Mark and the Mysterians. Another one-hit wonder. His real name was Rudy Martinez. Little psych pop, garage rock. It's got that iconic at the beginning, and too many teardrops for one heart to be crying. 96 Tears. It's a cool title too, unique, and you know it when you hear it. Number 13 is a soul classic, When a Man Loves a Woman by Percy Sledge. This guy is a soul singer from Alabama. He'd been working in a hospital as a hospital orderly. Went to an audition and he signed a recording contract, and the rest is history. That's his signature song, his claim to fame, and a great one. I think originally I had it higher, and then I started shifting things around a little bit. So it fell at number 13. And number 12 and number 11, another one of my back-to-backers here. I've got the Beatles, believe it or not, at 12 and 11. Number 12 is Paperback Writer. Great pop song, cool harmonies, clever lyrics, written in the form of a letter. Dear Sir or Madam, that's right off the bat. He's kind of looking for an audition or a job as an author. He's writing to a publisher. I need a job and I want to be a paperback writer. And just classic mid-60s Beatles. Everything you want in a Beatles song is in that. And number 11 is We Can Work It Out, which was a double A-sided single. Day Tripper was on the other side. Either one of them could have been the A-side. I guess technically We Can Work It Out it had the higher ranking here. It made it to number 1. Number 11 on my list. You got John and Paul both with their harmonizing and both sharing lead vocals here. Paul saying, we can work it out, and John's adding that little "life is very short and there's no time for fussing and fighting, my friend," and then just beautifully harmonized together. This was recorded as a single during the Rubber Soul sessions. Didn't make the album Rubber Soul because they had that philosophy of putting out singles and putting out albums. They were just flooding the market with great material, and "We Can Work It Out" is a great song from this particular year. And it opens up right out of the chute with try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can't go on? Just hooks you from there. Stevie Wonder had a cover of this maybe a year or two later, which is a good version as well. So that's my 15 through 11. Now we're into the top 10. We're going to just go one at a time, back and forth until we reach number 1.
And I think we have a few differences on ours.
It looks that way, yeah. That's cool.
But my number 10 is "These Boots Were Made for Walking," Nancy Sinatra. I don't think anybody was as cool as Nancy when she's doing this song and she's in the go-go boots. If you've seen the video, but I just love the bass line in there. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then she gets walking around. It's weird that she would have such a great song this year and her dad would have the clunker. That's and she just sheer personality in this song. And I like some of the lyrics. "You keep lying when you ought to be truthing." They're kind of mixing up their own lyric or their own words in this one, but great timing, and I don't know. I like the song a lot.
Yeah, and at the end, right before the instruments come in and she starts dancing, she goes, "Are you ready, Boots? Start walking. Do 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 do." It's like 60s style. My number 10 is
that ha in there too. I like that.
Yeah, physically, I don't want to just disparage the woman. I don't find her that attractive, but she's sexy in that video. I can tell you that. And in those clothes and singing that song, she's got it down. It's a really cool song. My number 10 is "I'm a Believer" by the Monkees. You had it earlier. Huge hit, 7 weeks at number 1. What can I say? It was number 1 for 1 week in 66, and the first 6 weeks in 67. It carried over. One of them crossover ones. Neil Diamond wrote it. Just a catchy pop song, from the beginning. Just instrumentally, I believe the Wrecking Crew may be on this as well. I feel like a geek, but I'm proud to say I love the Monkees. I love the TV show. I love their albums, their singles. I was a kid during that time, so they rivaled the Beatles for popularity in the United States at that particular time for about 2 or 3 years anyway, and then it slowly faded away. I'm sorry, I was going to jump into 9, but it's your turn. Number 9.
Yeah, my number 9 is "Paperback Writer," the Beatles. Sometimes I wonder if it was a little shot at John Lennon, because he had actually written a couple of books at that time, kind of a nonsensical stories and drawings. Was Paul thinking about him being the paperback writer? I don't know.
Might have been.
Because Paul wrote most of it, and he said, the writer's saying that he can make it longer, he could change the style, which makes you think that there's no way he's going to get this book contract. I don't know. But I think there's a little sarcasm in there too, but it's got great hooks, and it's a real catchy song.
Yeah,
so that's my number 9.
I like it a lot. Now my number 9 is the other Monkees song, "Last Train to Clarksville," written by Tommy Boyce and Bobby Hart. This is just like I said before. This is my childhood. These songs all bring back great memories. When I was 9, 10, 11 years old, that's when the Monkees were at their peak. Got the little jangly guitar. Mickey Dolenz. I think Mickey Dolenz is the best singer in the band, Davy Jones withstanding. Mickey does great vocals on every song I've ever heard him do, so kind of underrated in that vein. So that's my number 9.
Right. My number 8 is The Sounds of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. Now, this is another song that was a kind of a heavy metal remake of it. I can't even remember who did it, but there's some group that did kind of a heavy metal Sounds of Silence song. I can't think of their names, but the song was used in The Graduate. Of course, they recorded it earlier on their Wednesday morning, 3 a.m. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Okay. And it didn't do much. It was more of a folk rock song. And then Tom Wilson, their producer, put drums and electric guitar on it, and it took off. And I guess they kind of broken up at the time, and then they got back together since it became a big hit. Although I don't think Paul Simon was a big fan of the new version, but it's a marvelous song by Simon Garfunkel.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty high up on my list. My number 8 is the Young Rascals, Good Lovin', soulful pop. Felix Cavaliere, great voice, just jumps out at you. It's high energy pop. They got that killer organ too, guitar work. They were out of New Jersey. They had 3 number 1 hits in the 60s, one in 66, one in 67, and one in 68. So we'll get to those other ones later on. They're members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Underrated band. Played their own instruments. They didn't need the wrecking crew behind them. I like the Rascals. They took the Young off eventually, but solid band, great song. And that was done by the Grateful Dead. I think they did a remake of it later on.
All right. And number 7 is When a Man Loves a Woman, Percy Sledge. This is another one that Michael Bolton unfortunately remade, and that probably hurt. It might even be higher if it wasn't for that, maybe. I don't know. But it's got that lonesome organ and its seductive vocals.
Yeah.
But it's not as much of a love song as people think, because if you really look at the lyrics, because like there's part in there where he goes, when a man loves a woman, deep down in his soul, she can bring him such misery. If she plays him for a fool, he's the last one to know. Loving eyes can't ever see. I was like, I don't know. Some of the lyrics you make you think that's not quite the love song like people think it is, but it's a great vocal performance by Percy Sledge.
It is. And that organ's killer too. My number 7 is Sunshine Superman by Donovan. Psychedelic pop masterpiece. You mentioned Jimmy Page and I think John Paul Jones. They both play on this song before Led Zeppelin existed. It's got that cool vibe, and it, 'cause I made my mind up, you're going to be mine. I tell you right now. It's got that. The word groovy applies to this song. It's just a groovy kind of sound. I think Donovan's an underrated artist at that time. He was hanging out with Dylan and the Beatles and absorbing from those guys. He wrote his own songs. Real solid. Sunshine Superman.
Yeah, I didn't have it quite that low, but I think all these songs are really good in this year.
Yeah, it's hard to rank.
It's just hard to do.
Yep.
Well, my number 6 is Soul and Inspiration by the Righteous Brothers. They had finally got sick of Phil Spector and left. And then they tried to they've learned a lot from Phil Spector because they almost did a Phil Spector sound-alike song with their other hits. And You've Lost That Love and Feeling. Escaped me for a second, but got Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, same songwriters, and asked to finish the song because they only had it partly written. And so they made it sound like Phil Spector. I like that part where you got Bill Medley with that low voice.
Yeah.
What good am I? In the song, but he built some great tension in there. And actually, they got back at Phil Spector because it was number 1 for 1 week longer than You've Lost That Love and Feeling.
There you go. Yeah, it's a classic. Both those songs are phenomenal. My number 6, I'm going to take some heat on this. Good Vibrations, Beach Boys. Just a real progressive, psychedelic, complex arrangement. It's a masterpiece. It really shows off the genius of Brian Wilson getting in the studio and experimenting with all kinds of overdubbing and layering and a real creation. He's like a Frankenstein monster in there putting this thing together, a mad scientist. It's got the theremin and cellos, and he was just grabbing everything and going with it. But I love it. I just like the 5 songs ahead of it just a tad more, like I say. So number 6, which is no slouch on a list like this, because there's a lot of really, really top-notch songs in 1966.
Oh. Well, my number 5 is the Beatles, We Can Work It Out. I think I actually like the B-side Day Tripper even more. It might have been even higher.
Right.
Another standalone single, like you said, kind of a sweet love song. The thing with this song is the Stevie Wonder version. I belonged to like what they call the Record Club of America, and you get a record every couple months or whatever. So I had Stevie Wonder's Greatest Hits, and I actually had that before I had the Beatles' Red and Blue albums.
Oh.
So I kind of got to know the Stevie Wonder version before I even got to know the Beatles one that well. But and his version's great too. But I love both of these. But the only thing about it is it's one of those other love songs that's, as he's saying, trying to see it his way, but he's kind of threatening to hit the door too. It's a great song. You know, Beatles always knew how to have great hooks in their songs.
Yep. Breaking into the top 5 for me, I've got Summer in the City by the Love and Spoonful at number 5. Just a fun band. John Sebastian, lead singer, energetic, catchy. You got the traffic noises. You mentioned the construction, the drills, people beeping their horns. It feels like summer when you hear it. It was their only number 1 hit. It came out, it's a true summer song. It came out in July of 66. So can you imagine listening to this, laying on a beach somewhere and, you know, hot damn summer, and you got that hotter than a match. Yeah, it's just a great, energizing, vibrant tune, and they do it really well.
All right. My number 4 is the one you just mentioned, is Good Vibrations, the Beach Boys. I like what you said about it. And he did try all these experimental things. He worked on it for months. At the time, it was probably the song that they spent more money on than any other song in the recording studio.
Yeah.
He's trying all those things. And it's Mike Love wrote the lyrics. It's got I love the colorful clothes she wears, the way the sunlight plays upon her hair. But I guess, and then he ended up suing later because I guess on the records didn't have him as a credit.
Oh, okay.
But great song, really catchy, Good Vibration.
Yeah, it's a good one. Did you see the movie where John Cusack plays Brian Wilson?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's a good one. I can't remember the title right now, but they concentrate on that song a lot in the recording of it in the studio. Number 4 for me is Soul and Inspiration by the Righteous Brothers. Their follow-up to You've Lost That Love and Feeling, Blue-Eyed Soul, masterpiece. I love the combination of Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield, the one with that deep bass kind of voice, and Bobby with that real high-pitched, great arrangement, the harmonies, they work so well together, blending in, and they have such soul in their voice. You would never know it to look at them on the street. They look like just accountants or businessmen, but they get in that studio, man, and they can crank out some of the best heartfelt love songs you ever heard, and that's one of them.
Yeah. Well, my number 3 you had a little higher up on yours list, but I think it's like a garage classic. That's 96 Tears, question mark, and the Mysterians. Said Rudy Martinez became a question mark before Prince became a symbol. Interesting. But I love the organ on here. And kind of this garage rock shuffle. It's kind of got this growling. Lyrics don't make a lot of sense other than he's going to get her back and she's going to cry on the tune. And actually, Aretha Franklin did a remake of this song, and Big Maybelle. So there's been a couple people that's tried it too, but they didn't have as big a hit.
I didn't know Aretha did that. How about that? Yeah, that's a cool. I love the title, just 96, an arbitrary number like that,
Yeah.
96 years. Number 3 is one neither one of us have had, so each of us are going to have it pretty high here. That's Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops. The great Levi Stubbs on lead vocal, powerful vocal. He sings with such conviction. You believe every word he's saying. He's like one of these guys that's a combination of smooth singer yet a shouter. I think it's that gospel background that he has. Very inspirational, talking about if you feel you can't go on because all your hope is gone and life's filled with much confusion. Happiness is just an illusion. Your world is crumbling down. Darling, reach out and I'll be there. Just fantastic. It's when you have somebody in your life you can count on, reach out, I'll be there. Don't hold it inside. And Levi really brings the heavy vocals on that song. Fantastic. I love the Four Tops.
All right. Well, my number 2 is either going to be your number 2 or number 1, I think. And that's Paint It Black, the Rolling Stones. It's kind of before they did Gimme Shelter or Sympathy for the Devil. They had this song that was kind of the ominous and dangerous sounding. It sounds like it's about a dead lover because you can see a line of cars and they're all painted black.
Yep.
He's got a lot of anger and he spits out the lyrics, or he can't get over it. It's kind of gothic in nature, and they must have been listening to the Beatles too, because they got Brian Jones playing the sitar on here, and Keith Richards got his lurking guitar. Every band member seems to bring out a little bit strangeness into the song, but it's a classic. One of my favorite Rolling Stones songs.
Yeah, one of my favorites too, and I do have it at number 2. Like you mentioned, the dark lyrics, black as night, black as coal, blotted out from the sky. I think there is some grief going on here. There's a line of cars and they're all painted black. You mentioned that. It's bleak, can be interpreted as grief or loss. And then you counteract that with, I see the girls walk by in their summer clothes. I have to turn away until my darkness goes. It's like he doesn't want to deal with good things. He'd rather sink into his depression and darkness. Got the Middle Eastern sound with the sitar, you mentioned that. And then at the end, you got Mick literally screaming, I want to see you painted black. And then that goes instrumentally off and it fades out. One of my favorite Stones tunes of all time, for sure. Now we're down to the big enchilada. What do you have at number 1?
Number 1 is Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops. I think it's Levi Stubbs' best singing. I think it's Holland Dozier Holland's best written song. And it might be the best Motown song, but there's one other that coming up in another year that might contend with us this one.
Okay.
But I love the tension. He's fighting off the despair and the wild echo and exotic flute that's in the song, and kind of like a symphonic rhythm section behind him. But it's got that galloping beat. I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really cool. Like there's an urgency in this song, and like I said, Levi Stubbs couldn't do any better than he does in this song.
Yeah, I had it a pretty high. I was number 3, so we had a 3 and a 1 out of that. Pretty solid. And we had the Stones both at number 2. They're vying for our best song of the year. My number 1 is The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel. I just think it's poetically, it's the best song of the year. Brilliant songwriting. The words he chooses in this song, he's using words that sort of go with silence or against it. He's using the word whisper and echo and voices, people talking without speaking, people hearing without listening. Silent raindrops fell. So again, it's part of that motif. It's featured in The Graduate, of course, the later 1967 movie with Dustin Hoffman. I love everything about it. Iconic too. Just at the beginning, hello darkness, my old friend, just sets you right into it. So I like both versions, the acoustic and the one that was more of a hit here. They both work for me. Paul Simon, of course, I always say this, easily one of the best songwriters that we've ever had. Top 5 for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, that does it. That was a hell of a list to really rank. There's a lot of classics in there. It was tough to do. And we could come back a year from now and jumble that up. It depends on when you're doing it, what's resonating with you at that time. That's the way I look at it anyway. We're going to do.
I started out and I wrote what I thought was going to be, and I didn't have a whole lot of switching. I had some go up and some go down.
Yeah.
I actually had Sounds of Silence a little lower, and then I put it up a couple. I don't know. I could change. It could change.
Yeah,
tomorrow.
it could change. They're all fantastic. About 20 of them, or 20 out of the 27 are really top notch. Now we're going to each pick 5 songs that never made it to number 1 that we, really like and we think of when we think of 1966. So what do you have it? You can just run off your 5 and then I'll do mine.
Okay. I've got Hold On, I'm Coming, Sam and Dave. Great soulful song. I don't know. It's one of my favorites probably my favorite by them.
Yeah.
I Fought the Law, Bobby Fuller 4.
Yep.
Another one that got remade later with The Clash.
The Clash, yeah.
And I like both versions of that one. The one that only got to 39, God Only Knows. That's one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. It's hard to think that it didn't go higher than that.
Yep.
And It's a Man's World by James Brown. Love that song. It's probably my favorite James Brown song. And the one I'd mentioned earlier is Secret Agent Man. How did that not be number 1 instead of Horse Ride It?
Yeah, I like all those songs you mentioned. I Fought the Law I had down. I wrote 10 songs down and whittled it down, but I Fought the Law was one that I considered. The 5 I'm going to mention here are I Am a Rock by Simon and Garfunkel, which is maybe my favorite Simon and Garfunkel song. I Have Nowhere Man by the Beatles, one of their best. California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas, which should have been a number 1 instead of Monday, or maybe both. Sunny Afternoon by the Kinks, another one of my favorite Kinks songs. Love it. And God Only Knows, which made it to number 39, surprisingly, by the Beach Boys. It's probably my favorite Beach Boys song and one of the best songs of the 60s for sure. So they're all worthy of being a number 1 songs. And there's scores more, but it's only so many weeks in the year, and only one is at number 1 every week. So really cool. Look forward to the next few coming up before we get into the schlock of some of the 70s. But 67, I've just looked ahead, it's going to be pretty solid too. Obviously, these 60s years. Next year, 67 only has 18 number 1, so it'll be a shorter list and a quicker show. Anyway, thanks to Randall for joining me. Check out his channel, Randall Nelson. Look forward to the continuing series here. Randy's got a great collection. He likes all kinds of music. So go over and check him out if you haven't already. I'm sure you'll like his channel. So for Randy, this is Rich. We'll see you next week. Leave some comments, like, subscribe, please. And we will see you on our next version of this series. Take care, everybody. Bye.